What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man with Nothing Changes Until You Do. And let's just start with the framework real quick. Framework. We remember life is just an accumulation of situations and decisions that we make over time, right? So from the day we're born to the day we die, it's a bunch of situations we're in, and it's the decisions we make in these situations that then create your next outcome, and that over a long period of time is your life. It's simple. Pfft, mic drop. But really, if this is logically true, which I would assume most of us would agree, then the question is, what drives our decisions, right? Because it's an accumulation of situations and decisions made over time. So what is really driving our decisions? And so the framework of, nothing changes is really just influence when you're born or whatever, moving forward throughout life. There's influence. These influence creates thoughts. These thoughts then drive or create emotions, and these emotions then drive the decisions we make, right? The actions. And so from there, we get these outcomes that we're in. And now you're either happy or you're not happy. And if you're not happy, then those are the ones that we need to adjust because something's going on in some of those, in those 5 verticals, right? Something in your influences, something in your thoughts, something in your emotions, and then the way you're deciding to act on these situations is causing you to meet or get to a place that you're not happy with, and so it's misaligned. Okay? That's it. That's life. Okay? Now, it's simple to understand. It's really simple to understand. It's just, obviously, it takes practice. It takes patience because you're a human, and so are we. We're all humans. And we're, even for understanding how simple life can actually be, we just make things really fucking complicated. And I feel like because it's emotion, right? Like emotion plays a lot into it in terms of why we make certain decisions. So I would say the point for this one is to really figure out in certain situations, when is emotion affecting the decision or the decision/actions that I'm taking that drive this outcome or drive these actions that create the outcome I don't want to be part of, right? So like a good example for me is if I'm feeling upset or angry or just overwhelmed, right? And that's sort of like my mixture of like, I mix that together and then I start feeling this like, I gotta get this out, sort of thing. And so I know that if I'm in situations and I'm feeling this way, then I know I need to like not be in any situation until I like pull back from my emotions, right? Because I know if sometimes like when I'm emotionally charged, I can have a quicker reaction, and the reaction is usually one that leads to like yelling and screaming or, being upset or just like, rah! Like barking, you know what I mean? And so that's I would say that's the takeaway for this one is, one, can you identify, be conscious and be aware of the moments that heightened emotional state in a situation that you're in. You have this heightened emotional state, then you create, you decide to act on this in a certain way, and then those actions lead to something that either is negatively affecting you or negatively affecting other people or just causing people just not a good time, right? Like, boo. So are you conscious? Are you aware of which situations those are? And then what are the emotions that you're feeling? Or if it's a heightened emotion, sometimes you can't sometimes in those moments you can't say just like, all right, I'm going to get rid of this emotion. I'm good now. What were you saying? You know what I mean? Like you can't go, not that you can't, right? You become a Jedi mind master, you can, but it takes time, right? It takes time. And if that's your automation, right? Like what you've created, those brain neurons or pathways in your brain, like that's what you go to, and you've been doing it for years, you need time, you need patience, and you need practice. Like you got to just keep at it. Because I feel like now I've realized when I feel this way, and if I can't become the Jedi mind master in that moment and be like, all right, I need to just not be this way, not feel this emotion and not be emotionally charged in that second, then I know whether there's a decision or I have to make something or whatever my action is next, then it shouldn't lead to like putting fuel on that fire, right? So a good example would be like if my other half, her name is Patty, if my other half and I are in it before in like an argument, right? If we were at two disconnects of a message that we're trying to talk to each other and communicate with, which is really just what an argument is. There are moments that we just wouldn't let it go, and we would continue and add and say and build to the point where it got like kind of crazy, right? And so once we started identifying, okay, like these are the moments where instead of being so emotionally charged that all you know as like a human person is to jump the gun and throw something or whatever, and obviously it all comes from like our childhood and things that in terms of how we interpret feelings and then how we act on them. We identify these moments, and then all of a sudden, instead of building on them, we just walked away from them. And we're like, you know what? Patty would be very good. I'd be like, just give me my minutes. And then she would go into the room, close the door. And then most of the time when I first started, I would follow and I would continue and I would say, and then it would just build up and right. And so again, these are these situations, right? That I said, these situations throughout life. And then from there, it would go crazy. But then we started realizing she would do that, and then I would give her time, and then we would like chill the fuck out, and like our level of emotion would go from like 1,003 to like 947, and then like 332, and then like 12. So at that 12 range, then we can have a good conversation about, hey, here's what I was trying to say, or here's what made me feel this way, and here's what I'd like to do next time. Does that make sense? And then vice versa. And then so we would this is like the example, like it's a situation that we're in. We used to make these decisions and these actions that would lead to this outcome of just not happy, not good, like just total fucking energy vibe kill. And then you'd have to live with it for like however long it took you to get back to that level of like, oh, sorry, or we love each other, you're my bad, and now we're best friends again. You know what I mean? Like, but who wants that time? Like, nobody wants to fucking deal with that time. Like, I don't want to, so like that's what you need to connect when it comes to these situations in these particular situations that you get these outcomes. And again, this is just my example, and you can relate it to any situation whatsoever, how big or how small, how, whatever vertical of life you may be in, but it's all really just situations and then decisions. So now we do that. Now it's like, okay, wait, this is probably not the best time to talk about this because like I'm fucking emotionally charged. So I'm going to walk away and let's just talk about it later. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's talk about it, whenever it makes most sense to talk about it, because if we continue talking about it, we're just going to get upset. So that's it. I hope that makes sense. Look back, figure out, be aware, where are these situations in my life that I am highly, highly emotional. Driving, okay? Driving, I would say, is probably one of those for most people. And I've been in that situation too, where I've been the driver and I've also been the passenger when the driver like freaks out and like gets mad and gets aggressive. Those like that decision to be aggressive and follow somebody or like whatever, which I've done, is just not the best possible decision you can make for anyone in that situation, right? Like like the outcomes, the percentage of those outcomes of you doing something bad or something bad happening to you are pretty fucking high. So like, what are the situations that you're highly emotional? Can you be aware of them? One, acknowledge them, be conscious of them. And then two, figure out a way to get yourself from that emotional state to a much lower emotional state, right? Sometimes emotions are not the best thing, served to make decisions, right? Sometimes you just have to like get this fucking emotion out of here, bring in the logical reasoning, and I'm going to make my decision. Like it's that simple. But again, it's very hard because we're so connected to our emotions because it's like, oh, that's how I feel. It's me. But, again, you grow up, like we grow up in the I perspective, which is the only perspective we have. That's why it's important to have other influences, positive perspective, things that, people are doing great and you see people are just enjoying themselves or changing their lives, which, I did. and so did everybody around me. So like, especially my, the people around me. And that's it. So be conscious, figure out those situations that you're highly emotional, and then figure out a way to walk away. You have to, right? Because it's the same thing. If you continue doing it or you continue making that decision at that same moment, you're going to get to an outcome that you already know how you feel. And then you're just going to keep repeating it until one day you're going to be like, all right, I'm tired of it. I'm going to listen. I'm going to do something different. That's it. That is it. Okay. For everything we're going to talk about at the end of the day, like whatever stories or whatever episodes, at the end of the day, it comes down to that understanding. What is your influence? What are your thoughts? What are the emotions? What are the emotions in that situation? What's the action and decision you're taking? And then what is the outcome? And were you happy with that? Was it a positive movement forward? If not, then go back and start figuring it out. And use logical reasoning. Get rid of emotions. You guys have a great day. I will talk to you guys again soon on the next one. Wilson here with Nothing Changes Until You Do. Good? Maybe? How about that? We'll do another out. We'll do another out. And that's it. You guys have a great day. Just remember, if you're not feeling great, you're not feeling happy, it's only temporary. Change the prompts, those questions in your head, or turn them off. And don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace. Yeah, I like that one better. Baby, ready to eat?